All right, so I am considering kind of checking out of politics here for the next couple of months. Now, I don't know if I'll actually be able to do it because I kind of enjoy politics from an entertainment standpoint, from kind of a kind of like watching kind of a sports team. Um, but now that Biden is out of the race and Kamala's in, um, I don't think that there's really anything that's going to happen of significance for the race over the next 4 months, whatever, how much time is left until November. Next 3, 4 months, I guess, whatever it is. I don't think there's really going to be anything that's going to change the outcome of the election in terms of the drama around the individual candidates themselves. So, um, because I am leaning fairly heavily towards Alan Lightfoot's model as being the correct way to think about predicting elections, I don't know that there's anything that Trump is going to say or not say, or J.D. Vance, or Kamala Harris, or anything that her VP says or does. I don't know if there's anything that's really going to have a dramatic impact on the election. Now, in terms of likability, and some things like that. I mean, there may be some things that move the needle a little bit here and there. I don't think anything that they say or do is going to be enough to make a significant difference on the outcome of the election. Now, what I do think will make a difference in the outcome of the election is what happens more broadly speaking. So, if an election truly is a referendum on the party that's currently in the White House, meaning it is currently the election is a referendum on the Democrat Party. What matters is what happens in terms of foreign policy over the next couple of months. The war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine. Those various things are Democrats perceived as doing a good job with that. What happens with the economy? Does the economy do great? Does it not do great? Well, actually, I think based on Alan Lightman's system, I think it has to be an actual recession. So, if the economy doesn't collapse, and then I don't know if there's really any difference there, but if it would actually collapse in some dramatic fashion, that could make a difference, and maybe even a little bit of recessionary pressure could maybe make a difference. I don't know. So there's some things like that can make, or actually unrest here at home, in the on the domestic side here in the U.S. So some of those things are things that could cause a real problem for Kamala, and even though maybe she's not directly responsible for the outcome of those things, they could still cause her to lose the election. So anyway, I'm thinking about whether I need to be weaning myself off of political news for the time being. Since the whole Biden stepping down thing, I found to be very fascinating and really interesting to watch. But now that that's done, and assuming nobody gets assassinated in the meantime here, which maybe not a good assumption, but assuming nobody gets assassinated here in the meantime, I kind of just expect the election to kind of just play out with the normal drama and people demonizing each other on the other side, and then we'll have the election, and people who lean left will vote for Kamala, people who lean right will vote for Trump, or not vote at all. So there'll be a number of people who won't vote at all because they don't like either candidate. There'll be some people probably voting for RFK Jr., etc. And that's another key, actually, too, is how much support that RFK Jr. continues to have. I think if he has over 10% in Alan Lichtman's model, that is a strike against the Democrat Party in this scenario. So, so I think that, so I don't know if I'll actually succeed in winning myself off of political news. I do think it'd probably be good if I got interested in something else as well right now, and something that would maybe be a little more uplifting and a little more conducive for making progress in other areas of my life besides political, rather than having such a heavy diet of political news. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But those are some of my current thoughts. So maybe I will have fewer posts here on the of a political nature here, and maybe I'll start learning about some other things. One thing I did do recently was I started listening to I listened to maybe one episode or so, but I listened to a podcast. It's called History That Doesn't Suck, and it kind of goes. I went back to begin with. Oh boy, now I forget the name of the president that I listened to. That I listened about his time in office, but anyway, something like that could have a little bit more of an enriching. The thing about the political news of the day, well, it can be kind of fun to watch. Like, let's say if Kamala is doing terrible in the polls, or if she says something awful, it can be kind of fun to just kind of watch that from the, if it's a dumpster fire or a train wreck, to watch that because you kind of like to see your own side winning, the other side having problems. I don't know that that's really a great way to live, though, in terms of like, now in sports, I'd make an allowance there, right, to see your quote enemies lose. But when it comes to politics, it may actually kind of undermine the mindset of what God has for us as far as the way we think about other people. So anyway, if nothing, if you think about, let's say you listen to, like, I have listened to some more. Listen to some shows on YouTube like Breaking Points and The Hills Rising. You think about all the various segments they do on news, and you think about how many of them really matter, like a year from now. If you were to do a summary of like what are the things that really shaped the nation or really mattered, how many of them are essentially just filler, fluff, just kind of the flavor of the day, really. Just kind of fluff, the flavor of the day, the social media trends of the day as far as what people are interested in. Excuse me. And, so transient, in many ways, so inconsequential. Or maybe even consequential in the sense of like little things building on each other, but not in and of itself a determining factor for one giant thing or whatever. So it's possible, I suppose, to be so enamored or so involved with something. Well, maybe that's the topic for a different video.